Okay, so this is Heavy Barrel. This is another Data East classic, because Data East means good video games. So anyway, I picked up this project on a whim, basically because I knew that this game would be a really dumb game to speedrun, honestly. The game is not an auto-scroller, but you walk about 2 times as fast as the screen's actually allowed to scroll. And as a result of that, as long as I hang out in the general, top 3/4 of the screen or so, I don't lose any time during the main sections. All that really leaves is optimizing the bosses, which is pretty trivial thanks to how overpowered a couple of the weapons in particular are. So the first of those weapons is the flamethrower, which I already have. Just hits a bunch of times for a lot of damage. So it's pretty useful for clearing out mobs and also for fighting bosses, but we won't even really be using it for fighting bosses, because the other option they give us is the grenades. These red grenades, I don't exactly understand what's wrong with them, but they do about 50 times the damage of any other weapon in the game. It's really badly designed. I don't know how else to explain it. So here's the first boss, and now he's dead, because the red grenades are a thing. It literally takes longer for the boss's explosion from his death to go than it does for me to actually take his hit points away. And that's really all the optimization of this game comes down to, is doing that over and over again. The other part about this game is that while it mostly looks like auto-scrollers, it also has these elevators, which actually are auto-scrollers. So now we get to just kind of wait. And honestly, that's really all the information you need to know about Heavy Barrel and speedrunning it. The entirety of the run is doing that. The other mechanic of this game, the hallmark that makes it truly the classic that it is the ability to collect the heavy barrel weapon. And to do that, you have to collect, I think it's like 6 parts out of the chests that you get, which the chests are pretty great because while they have a preset thing in them, there's no actual indication in-game of what you're getting until after you've collected it and used it. So you kind of just have to memorize what's in every chest for the entire game. Or at the very least, what's in all the chests that are useful. I don't know what's in every chest, just which ones contain flamethrowers as well as red grenades. Because that's what we need. But anyway, you collect all 6 parts of the heavy barrel, and Data East has some fantastic voice acting of the player character saying heavy barrel. And then you get a really loud gun that shoots, I don't know, like giant red orbs that, well, they kill things real fast. But because it takes time for him to actually say heavy barrel, it's not collected in a speedrun. It's pretty unfortunate, because I would very much love to have that quote in there. But instead, it's just, this. It's this for the entire game. I'd say, you can't really speed anything up here, and in addition to that, it's just completely easy. There's really not a whole lot that threatens you in this game. Most enemies will only shoot 1 or 2 bullets. Doesn't really spawn a lot of guys at the same time most of the time. It's just really pretty mellow. Mellow to the extent where I couldn't actually stream attempts of this game because I would lose track of what I was doing and start talking to people or something and die, and then I'd feel like a moron. It's pretty cool. yeah, so here's a nice elevator section where all I gotta do is wait for the boss to spawn. Now there is like one of the, I'll go with tricks in the game, is just knowing exactly when to throw things to kill the bosses instantly. Yeah, and that's the entire second boss. Like, he's dead. We're just waiting now. Alright, so here's stage 3. I like stage 3 actually because it's a minecart level. And I don't know why this is such a classic video game thing to have guys with minecarts coming at you, but it's just so strong. Look at these guys. No fear. There are also these jet things that, like, even though they're not, you know, piloted or active or anything, their guns still shoot at you. It's pretty cool. Unfortunately, you can't blow them up, but you can blow up their guns. Alright, well, I've completely run out of commentary, and we're not even halfway through this. So this should just be excellent. I don't see anything bad coming out of this. Nothing at all. Oh, we're almost to the third boss, though, so maybe I'll comment on him for the 3 seconds he appears on screen. So yeah, this guy, I kind of let him get a little farther on screen than the other bosses, because he just happens to have enough HP that I kind of have to in order to kill him properly. But yeah, he still doesn't really last. Definitely some frames that could be saved on that fight. Huh. Well, seeing as I'm out of things to do here, I'm going to take the liberty of filling my commentary by reading something hilarious, specifically a Game FAQs review of this game. And hopefully that will be at least mildly entertaining. Alright, so this is a review by Casket Dark Fire. Wow, that's quite a spelling of that too. Anyway, so his headlight for this review is, normally I would scream out the name, but it doesn't get the right effect if only the people in my house hear it. So, okay. Anyway, on to the review. To be honest with you, I can't really tell which of the 3 games came first. Ikari Warriors, Guerrilla War, or Heavy Barrel. But regardless of which one of the 3 came first, Heavy Barrel is probably the one that I've played the most. Featuring an overhead view of the battlefield, you control a soldier who must collect pieces of a gun called Heavy Barrel and wipe out the enemy forces that are taking over the world. The storyline is used and rather drawn out when you consider it, but the gameplay that you find here in this title is something that will never become tiring, no matter how many times you play. And what title that you may be playing that features gaming like this? Wow, that's that's quite a sentence, guy. Alright. With several expansive stages and plenty to shoot at, as well as a wide variety of weapons that you can use, the pure addictiveness of this game is something that really has to be played to be believed. An arcade hit ported over to the NES, it has its share of problems, but spares nothing in terms of action and adventure. Yeah, this is action-packed. The gameplay of Heavy Barrel is pretty straightforward in what you have to do and what your mission is. You take a soldier through several battlefields and kill off whatever looks aggressive and gets in your way. That really is the point of the game, and the fact that you can collect pieces of a weapon called Heavy Barrel just adds to the gameplay, in which you can collect several different weapon styles that have their own attributes and strengths. Something that does come up immediately with the game is that it is insanely difficult near the beginning, and even through the game. You'll find that the staggering amounts of enemies can sometimes be overwhelming. Through the play, you have to collect parts out of crates that appear throughout the stages, and during this time you can increase the effectiveness of your weapon and turn your soldier into a mean killing machine. The fact that there's a 2-player option only gives the game more playtime, in which you can invite a friend along for the wanton killing and destruction of whatever you may find. Fighting across several stages is always best played with another person, as seen in with the Ikari Warriors, because if you play through yourself, you'll find that the game quickly becomes linear and rather repetitive. Even with the amount of things that you can shoot and destroy, there's a slight need to have a little more than just mindless killing, and even though weapon collecting does fill in parts of that gap, there is still the need for something a little more. Wow, this review is all over the place. Like, I don't even know how to explain it, but he doesn't seem to know what he wants to say. The control of this game is simple enough to learn and understand. You fire with one button and move with the directional pad while trying to dodge and avoid getting yourself wasted in the process. This can either be very difficult or very easy depending on how well you pick up the controls and learn the timing and the speed of your character. It can be rather frustrating to keep getting killed because you're not moving out of the way fast enough. And this is an action game where getting hit will kill you off fairly quick. Yeah, like in one hit. Good job, guy. The use of weapons is easy to do, in which you lay down on the firing button and then you can pretty much spin yourself around and hit everything on the screen. Anyone who is familiar with Ikari Warriors and Guerrilla War will find that the controls are the same in every way and fall right into the control setup. Beginners to games like this only need to learn that moving is good and killing whatever is trying to kill you is a good idea. Genius. Visually, Heavy Barrel doesn't come close to shining like the arcade version. With the NES, the visuals are rather muted, and in some cases so cluttered together that the game looks like a huge mess. Only in some cases? No, okay. This is only bad when the game goes into action overdrive, with several enemies on the screen, gunfire going everywhere, and images starting to break up and disappearing. The special effects of this game are wicked to watch, especially when you unleash the Heavy Barrel. But again, with the limitations that the NES has, the image breaks up from the start, and you'll have missing frames all the way through. The stages themselves are expansive and well detailed, and everything looks average with the overhead view. But again, you'll be seeing the limitations of the NES in most cases of play. Okay, so I want to just say that even in that sentence, this guy contradicts himself really badly. The stages are expansive and well detailed, but everything looks average. I don't even know what that means. Okay. Okay. We gotta finish this. We got 2 more paragraphs. The audio keeps the pace of the game in overdrive, with the music being a battle-savvy type of selection. You'll find that the music keeps the overall pace of the game alive, with a heavy instance of rock music in the NES MIDI way, and to be honest, I really can't tell the difference between this and the arcade when it comes to it. The sound effects are good, but in their own way since they are limited to what the hardware is. Probably one of the best instances of sound effects is when you collect Heavy Barrel and your hero screams it out in a bass-like voice before mowing down everything in sight. Other than that, the sound does a decent job with keeping interest, but doesn't do much to really impress or make you remember anything after you've shot the systems down. Overall, Heavy Barrel is a good action game that falls in line with Ikari Warriors and Guerrilla War, in the sense that you have plenty of action with some muted effects. While not the best game, it is definitely above average in the way that it is played and the overall idea. Visually, the game is limited merely by the hardware restrictions that the NES always had, and this can be excused simply for that fact. For NES owners and collectors alike, you'll find that Heavy Barrel has all the elements for a great game that is fun to play over and over with a friend or alone if you're really bored. Reviewers score 8 out of 10. So yeah, clearly it's a great average game with some good bad effects, because that's what this review says. Never change game FAQs, seriously. So anyway, that killed a bunch of time. That some things happened. There were like some bosses that died instantly because this game is designed amazing. Like, yeah, I mean, what's not to love about all of this? Oh good, we're on another auto-scroller when I come back to it too. Man, this review's such a mess. First of all, we get that you're comparing it to Akari Warriors and Guerrilla War Guy. Like, you said it like 4 times. It's really not a comparison you need to make that many times. His action descriptors are way too strong for this game. This is very intense overdrive action scene on this elevator where, like, nobody's attacking me. Never mind the, like, 40-second segment where I literally let go of the controls. That was a pretty cool segment of the game. Oh, here's another one. I literally have nothing to do right now. This is entirely waiting. Oh, look, a somewhat familiar platform. Let's wait for it. Okay. Now it's gone, and hey, it's a Stage 2 boss. And he's just as much of a chump as he was the first time. Seriously, what is wrong with this game? Data East, like, really doesn't understand how to make video games that, like, are not just ridiculous. See, this part actually is, like, sort of dangerous if you just let everything spawn, but, you know, red grenades kind of just annihilate everything. And here comes another boss. Oh man, there's 2 of them. It's a good thing that the red grenades killed both of them before the boss music got through 3 notes. Alright, last stage. So one thing that actually does change, like, in normal play, is that for this and the previous stage, and maybe the stage before, I don't remember if it starts on which stage it starts on anymore, but the enemies here do actually have body armor, and it makes them take 2 hits, but fortunately the flamethrower just hits them on 2 consecutive frames, so it doesn't, it's, you know, you don't really care. So there's the boss, but he runs away. It is not possible to kill him there. He doesn't even have a health value, if I remember correctly. Plus, he's got to board his thing. So the last boss is unique in this game in that he's the only boss in the game that has enough health that he doesn't just die instantly. We actually have to fight him for, like, an amount of time. Another thing you'll notice that's pretty cool here is that anytime the red grenades are exploding, it just erases the hitboxes for the flamethrower. So anyway, yeah, just pretty difficult boss pattern. He, like, shoots missiles that are very poorly aimed, and then he has his claws go at you. Then I died, like, the last frame that he died. Doesn't cost any time or anything, but it looks funny. Alright. Mission accomplished. Thanks for playing Data East. Not really sure what else there is to say about this game. It's pretty much just an amazingly mediocre game. Which is really a trend of Data East in general, but, you know, whatever. Is there anything else? Guess I'll just say thanks to the SDA admins for, running the site and making all this possible. Thanks to my stream viewers for putting up with me doing dumb projects like this. And thanks to anyone who bothered to listen to me read someone else's work as a replacement for having actual commentary. I say work like he put a lot of effort into it. Yeah. Anyway, that's really all I have to say, so thanks for watching, guys. That is the end of the commentary.